Hello and welcome to the Alpha Edge Podcast, the show for men over 50 who refuse to fade out, slow down, play small, or settle for average. I'm your host, Kevin English. I'm a healthy aging expert, coach, and founder of the Alpha Edge, and I am here to help you get and stay strong in every dimension of your life, physically, mentally, emotionally, morally, and spiritually. You're here because you're ready to reclaim your power, to own your masculinity, and lead your life with strength and purpose. If you're ready to sharpen your edge, revive your drive, and lead like a man who's built for more, you're in the right place. All right, men, let's get after it. Russell, welcome back to the Alpha Edge Podcast.
Hey, Kevin. Great to be here.
Yeah, man. How's it going?
It's going good. A couple bumps
Right
in the
on,
road
brother, right on.
in the week, but other than that, we're moving on.
Yeah, there's always bumps in the road.
Yeah, without
That's part
bumps,
of life.
it wouldn't be exciting, right?
Yeah, life would be boring without bumps.
Yeah.
No doubt. No doubt. Well, hey, man, here's what I want to talk about this week. I want to talk about how not to be a scrawny grandpa.
Oh, love it.
So many of my peers, when I look around, look, I'm 61. And so when I'm looking at other dudes in their 50s and 60s, I see a couple of things. I'll see a lot of strong, lean, capable guys, unfortunately. Now, I do in my immediate circle because I'm drawn to that. I'm hanging out with that, right? But when I just look around at the population at large of dudes our age, I see a couple of things. One, I see overweight guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the vast majority of us. So now 70% of Americans are now either overweight or obese. We all know that. So there's that guy, right? The overweight guy. He's got fat to lose. And I think he's got something that he can get out of what we're going to talk about here today. But really what I'm talking about is the other avatar that I see a lot, and that's the scrawny dude, the scrawny grandpa. He's kind of weak. Maybe he is skinny fat. So maybe he's got a little bit of a beer belly happening, but he's got skinny legs, skinny arms, just doesn't look athletic or strong. So I don't know, is that your experience? You're on the other side of the country. Do you see in our demographic that either the overweight guy or the scrawny dude, does that seem fair?
Yeah, and both of them are just having a hard time with life, moving and operating in life. Funny quick story. I was at the doctor yesterday morning. They want me to do a sleep study. And the doctor asked me, I think 5 different ways if I was taking steroids.
It was great.
And I just took it
Right
as
on, brother.
I took it as a compliment. I
Take it
walked
as a
out of there.
compliment. Hell yeah.
I was a little more puffy walking out of there. I was like, yeah.
Chest up.
But she
Yeah.
did say, she apologized. She's like, I've never seen anybody, 52, with your muscle development. And I said, yeah, no, I've never touched a steroid in my life. So, yeah, I did walk out of there pretty proud. And then the second thing is both my grandfathers were rock hard strong. I mean, they both did manual labor jobs. And I think we talked about this before. When you shook their hand, oh boy, you better be ready.
Yeah.
I think your hand's going to
Yeah.
be crushed. And that's something I've always looked up to. And I remember seeing as a kid, but now, no. I mean, I've talked about before, you go to Costco and everybody's got a scooter and, or feebly trying to walk through Costco, and you're like, God, they don't even look that old to be doing that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's sad now.
It is. It's sad. It's alarming. Certainly, I see that as well. And if you take a guy who's in his 50s or in his 60s, and that's his present state, it does not bode well for his 70s, 80s, if he's lucky enough to live into his 90s. That doesn't bode well. And that's for both the obese dude and the scrawny dude, right?
Yeah.
Both are in trouble. Now, it's Dr. Gabriel Lyon who said that Americans don't have as much a health problem with being overfat as they do being under-muscled. And so that's what I really want to get at today. This notion that muscle is the organ of longevity. And as men, we should be interested in being strong and building muscle. And I'll say this, a big dude, so a fat guy, let's call it what it is, has got a better chance, maybe, if he's carrying a decent amount of muscle, of rolling into his 70s and 80s as a little bit more capable and unhealthy, even though he might not look as healthy as a scrawny dude who is, by all appearance, when he has a shirt on, he's quote unquote skinny, right? He's skinny fat. But that guy with just a little bit of muscle on him, he's at risk for osteopenia, osteoporosis. He's at risk in his 70s and 80s of falling and breaking a hip. And all of us know that that's typically does not end well. So that's what I want to talk about here is how not to be a scrawny grandpa. And if you're a big grandpa, how to convert. Well, we don't convert fat to muscle. It doesn't work that way, but how to add some muscle. Because I'll say it this way, when you are strong and fit and capable and have the confidence that comes from that, life is large. It's big. You just have a lot of options. The opposite is true is when you're weak and frail and ill and not healthy and dependent upon, a whole bunch of different pharmaceuticals to get you through the day, life becomes really, really small, what your options are. So Russell, I want to break it down like this. We've got these 3 pillars to warding off the scrawny grandpa syndrome. It's going to be eat like a man, train like a man, recover like a man. So let's dive into it. Let's start with eat like a man. What would you advise a scrawny grandpa listening to this going, yeah, maybe I do kind of fall in that skinny fat camp. What are we going to prescribe for this dude when it comes to eating like a man?
Number one, protein, getting that protein in. We often see it when we get new clients. I'll say, I eat a lot of protein, and you break it down, it's maybe 50, 60 grams if that's
a day.
If they're lucky, So protein would be definitely top of my list. And hopefully it's a meat source protein. Makes it a lot easier, a lot more nutrients and minerals in there. So that helps out. But definitely protein is my number one go-to.
Yeah. So when it comes to protein, like you, I'm a big fan of animal sources. Look, if you're a plant-based dude in your 50s and 60s, you got a tough road ahead of you, just plain and simple. I mean, if that's your choice, that's your choice, and we'll all honor that. And it's not that you can't build a strong, lean, capable body on a plant-based diet, but man, if you just made it really, really difficult for yourself.
Yeah.
But for the rest of it, I suspect most people tuning into something called the Alpha Edge podcast probably are meat eaters, but we want to choose lean cuts of meat and eat lots of it. So when we're saying eat protein, what we're not talking about is bacon and deli meat and fast food burgers. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about lean cuts of beef, pork, bison. Any wild game, of course, is definitely on the menu. All of the seafood, all the wild caught seafood and fish, wonderful sources of protein. Eggs. Now, look, 1 egg has 6 grams of protein, so it's not really a power-packed food source, but it is nature's superfood. You should be eating them. And yes, for God's sakes, please eat the yolk. I know I've seen dudes eating these egg white omelets. It drives me nuts. Yeah, there's more protein in egg white than there is in the yolk, but all the nutrients are in the yolk. Eat the damn yolks, guys. Let's see, what else? There's cottage cheese, there's whole milk, there's plain Greek yogurt, all great sources of protein. And you may hear things like, nuts are a good source of protein or beans are a good source of protein. No, they're not. They are healthy foods. You should eat nuts, you should eat beans, but that's a carb and a fat that happens to be carrying a little bit of protein. And like Russell said, hey, animal sources are your go-to when it comes to protein. And here's why. Protein's not just one thing. It's a bunch of different amino acids, and each one has its own function. And we get that healthier, fuller, more complete amino acid profile, specifically for muscle building. That's what we're talking about here, when we are selecting primarily good, lean animal pieces of protein. Now, Russell, what do you tell a dude who is looking to not be a scrawny grandpa? How much protein should he be eating? What's his target? Say a guy comes in and he's currently eating 50, 60 grams of protein a day. He's a 180-pound dude. What should he be eating?
So, you gave the 180-pound dude. So I always say a gram of protein per goal body weight. So, if you're 180
pound of goal body weight.
Yeah, if you're 180, if you're looking to add on size, 180 is good, 180 grams, or you can go, slightly above. If it was a weight loss thing, I always say, like, let's say he's 250, wants to get to 190, that 190 marker is good. And I usually give people, I usually tell people a level of 10 grams either way is pretty good, but,
Cool. Upper plus or minus.
Plus or
Yeah.
minus, yeah. Obviously, you're not going to hit it on the nose every time, so that's a good goal range. And I I think you're going to probably say this, but I'll maybe beat you to the punch. You got to start early. That one egg a day is in the breakfast is not going to help
Yeah.
you at all.
Even at 3 eggs a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, think about what you're talking about there. 18 grams of protein. Congratulations. You're 1/10 of the way
And I'm a
to your
big
goal.
egg white fan for the fact of I use it as filler, right? So I have
Yeah,
my 3 to
sure.
4 eggs, and I'm like, well, I don't want just some reason 5 to 6 is to me is a
Yeah.
lot. So I throw in egg whites, and that is where I use the egg whites in there. I add to
Right.
it.
Yeah.
It's all how you structure it, right? We've gone
Yep.
through this before. You can have fattier meats. It's just you risk some fat in later or earlier in the day, right? So,
Sure.
but yeah, so get it in early and get it in often. It has to be in every meal if you're trying to get 190 grams of protein.
I think both you and I were right at that 200 gram of protein a day
Yeah.
kind of mark, I suspect, somewhere in there, right?
Yeah.
And if we don't start our days with a big protein forward breakfast, it's really tough to get to that goal.
Yeah.
So guys, there you go. There's what you should be eating for protein, those lean protein, and preferably animal sources, lots of them. Your target is basically, it's really simple, just like Russell said, 1 gram of protein per pound of goal or ideal body weight is a really good formula. And just, you don't have to hit it dead on, but that's what you're aiming for. And that's a lot of protein. It really is. So Russ, I do see dudes that'll eat 3, 4 eggs, then a bunch of egg whites. That's a great way to get a bunch of protein. I got my own chickens, so it's easier for me to do. But on the days I eat eggs, I typically eat 8 poached eggs. So I'll eat 8 poached eggs, usually with a piece of fruit, maybe a couple pieces of fruit, and that's one of my go-to breakfasts that I'll eat. Another one, I'll do an oatmeal on every other day typically, and it's got 2 scoops of protein powder in there. It's got some chia seeds, it's got some pumpkin seeds. It always has a cup of blueberries. I've got a half cup of whole milk in there. So I'm plus 50 grams of protein just on that breakfast there. So I'm eating 2 servings of oatmeal as well. So that's just so you know, I'm alternating every other day. I'm usually eating eggs one day, I'm eating oatmeal the next. But just some way of getting that protein in, like Russell said, early, get it in often. So there you go. The other thing I'll say about eating like a man is eating intentionally. And what I mean by that is not grazing, not snacking, not emotionally eating. Look, we're humans, we're very complex creatures. Our primate relatives only eat for one reason, it's because they're hungry. And if they don't eat, they'll die, right? So they're eating for a very biologic purpose, and it's survival. We humans eat for a whole bunch of different reasons. We eat when we're happy, we eat when we're sad, we eat when we're mad and frustrated, and all of these different reasons. But here's the thing, when we're in these different mood states, we often make different food choices. And that's when we're typically, nobody's angry or frustrated or upset or depressed and reaching for more chicken breast and broccoli. We're just not. We're reaching for more of those comfort foods. So be aware of that. You want to be aware of the emotional side of eating. And as a man, you want to kind of man up and say, okay, you know what? As opposed to choosing this hedonistic pleasure right now, that is that bag of potato chips or sleeve of Oreos or whatever it is for you, I'm going to choose a food that's going to honor my body and maybe even make it a protein rich. Maybe I'll make myself a protein smoothie, eat some beef jerky, grab some leftovers out of the fridge, right?
The issue too is, you eat that one egg a day and a slice of toast. Of course, you're going to go to the office and see all these delicious treats laying out, and you're starving,
Pastries,
right?
yeah.
You're not eating enough.
Of course you are.
And then, but
Yeah.
I eat
Right.
a full meal. I'm not snacking because
Yeah.
I'm full. I'm like, it just doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't tempt me anymore because I'm actually full. I'm like, wow, I ate a lot of whole foods right there and stuffed me up,
Mhm.
So that's part of the
Yep.
issue, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing when we're talking about protein is the most satiating of all the macronutrients.
Mhm.
So your macronutrients are your carbs, your fats, and your protein. I think you guys know this. When you eat a whole bunch of carbs, you're hungry again an hour later. Eat a bunch of pasta, you're hungry an hour later. You just are. Eat a great big steak, not so much. So there you go. For eat like a man, and we're not saying, look, we're not advising, we're not advocating that you be a carnivore or anything like that. We want you to get some healthy carbs. We want you to get tons of healthy fats. but we want you to eat like a man. We want you to choose whole foods. We want you to prioritize protein. We want you to eat with intention and understand that the food that you are eating, you have a sacred relationship with this food. It's literally becoming you. It's becoming your body. It's becoming your thoughts. It is your fuel. And so treat it accordingly, right? All right. So if you don't want to be a scrawny grandpa, start right there. Eat like a man. Next, you got to train like a man. Now, Russell, I know the last couple of episodes, we've talked a bit about strength training, what we mean by strength training, what's not strength training. But basically, when I think about training like a man, I think this: lift heavy shit. Now, I'm not saying max out your 1 rep max on a deadlift, unless you're a power lifter and you're experienced and that's your jam. But what I am saying is to challenge yourself. Make friends with a barbell, with dumbbells, and go back, listen to episode 2 of this podcast. But get in there, get after it, make friends with that, again, with that barbell. Russell and I are both big fans of you guys getting out there and joining a gym or building out a well-equipped home gym. But you really want to have a way of practicing progressive overload. Again, I know Russell, we've gone over that again and again. You got to have a plan. You got to follow a plan. You got to stick to a plan. You can't just, something you see in Men's Health or online. Oh, I'm going to try that. Oh, I'm going to try that. Makes it really tough for you to add significant amounts of muscle. So Russell, before we move on from training like a man, let's just address this question. Is it even possible for a dude over 50 to build significant amounts of muscle? Or how about a guy over 60 or even over 70? Can we build muscle later in life?
Who's that guy we follow online, Kevin, that fit guy over 60? He's ripped.
Yeah.
I think
I can't remember his handle, but yes, he's shredded.
He showed a picture of himself in his 50s and he looked like a grandpa, right? Like you're like just an average grandpa. And then something happened and he got into fitness and the dude's ripped. Like he looks great.
He's jacked.
And yeah, it totally is. I've seen it many a times. Actually, the gym I go to, they train older folks, and the difference I've seen in just a few months, just by just by appearance only. When they used to come in all slumped over, now they're straight and look like they're ready for some action, and it's very impressive.
A little more manly, right?
Yeah. And even women. I mean, I know this is a men's podcast, but I'm sure your wives or significant others are there. Like I've seen women look outstanding and, change their whole appearance just from that in their 50s and 60s. So even beyond that. So I think that's often a thing. We're just another lie we're told, right? We're just supposed to, be taken care of for the rest of our lives. And it's not true. Right.
I think what happened, you're right. I think the assumption is we're losing muscle because we're getting older, and that's a lie.
Yeah.
Especially, look, when you're 90, maybe that's sarcopenia kind of creeps in and it's inevitable. Nobody defeats aging, right? We all have the same end for us. But here, if you're a dude in your 50s, 60s, 70s, that's not now. And the reason you're losing muscle is because you're not using it, because you don't have a plan and you're not working that plan. So getting that plan, dialing that in, that's the way to build some muscle. So 100%, everybody can build muscle. And look, when we say build muscle, that makes you strong. It makes you competent. It makes you confident. Like Russell said, he's seen dudes over 50 glow ups, right? Where guys start lifting, all of a sudden their posture's better. They carry themselves differently. They've done hard shit and they've done it consistently. And that carries over to other parts of their lives. It's really transformative. There's also, I don't want to get too nerdy here because we're talking about how not to be a scrawny grandpa, but when we build even a modest amount of muscle, there's all these health benefits come along with it. As it turns out, muscle's actually an organ and it's an insulin uptake site. And that's where your glucose goes. And that's what keeps you from being fat. The more muscle you have on your body, the more fat you burn when you're at rest. Lots of good things. And like Mark Ripito famously says, strong people are harder to kill. The stronger you get, the harder you are to kill. Another way of saying that is weak things break. Dudes, don't be a weak thing because you'll break. And that's the opposite of what we're trying to get done here. All right, Russell, let's finish this out here. We're going to eat like a man. We're going to train like a man. So there's 2 pillars there for us to not be a scrawny grandpa. Finally, we got to be able to recover like a man. And when I think about recovery, there's, of course, recovery from workouts, right? So I'm going to work out. You and I, think, are both pretty much on that We really I like it for myself as well as for a lot of my clients, 3 days a week. So I've got that day of rest in between, but it could be 5 days a week of body part split. So each body part's getting well rested, etc. Lots of ways to do that. But when I'm talking about recovery, I'm talking primarily about sleep and managing stress. So I think that we just saved the, kind of the no days off and that grind every day mentality for the boys. We're men, when it comes to strength training. But Russell, what are we telling a man who doesn't want to be a scrawny grandpa when it comes to sleep and stress? How's that impacting? Why is it important? And what should he do?
You want to limit stress, obviously. That's number one. And I understand that we have, like Kevin and I were just talking, I had stress yesterday. There's nothing I can do about it. I just dealt with it and moved on. But today, I'm well aware that stress kind of carried over to today. I woke up a little more sore and groggy. So maybe my workout today is going to be a little easier for me, just depending how it goes. But and sleep's number one. I was the king of you'll sleep when you're dead, right? What a great
Sleep when you're dead.
yeah. What a great moniker to live by. You know why? Because you'll be dead sooner. That's why.
Right. That's right. You'll get plenty of sleep then.
Yeah. So as a cop, I was lucky if I got five hours of sleep, which is kind of scary to think of now. I'm supposed to make split-second decisions with firearms and
on 5 hours of sleep
and a massive vehicle. Yeah. And ever since I retired, it's been my number one thing to dial in my sleep. And I go to bed 9:30 religiously, and I have a girlfriend who makes fun of me all the time. My kids make fun of me all the time. It's really helped me out. And I've noticed a vast difference in every aspect of my life just by dialing in my sleep. And again, getting that solid sleep during the nighttime when we're supposed to, that's, what's supposed to happen. It's funny now because I'll be yawning like crazy at 8:00. I'm like, all right, it's time to go to bed. And I do feel like
body knows what's getting ready to happen.
I guess we always made fun of the early bird special and, all that stuff, but it's part of my life now, and I feel 100 times better just doing that. But it takes a lot of just like anything else, it takes a lot of discipline to actually go to bed early and turn off the Netflix and turn off whatever distractions are getting to you. But yeah, it's definitely helped me in many aspects of my life since. So sleep and reduction of stress. So more sleep,
reduction of stress,
more sleep, less stress. And that includes
and
exercise,
vice versa, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That includes exercise. Exercise is a stress. So if you think doing more sometimes is probably hurting you more than helping you.
100%. Yep. Certainly can be.
And we get that wrong all the time too, right? Because we think every aspect of our life is, I study more, I do better in school. I work more, I get a promotion. I do this, I do that. You work out more, it actually hinders what you're trying to do. So, which is kind of odd.
There's a law of diminishing returns, and it's a little different for each of us, but we got to find that perfect balance of frequency, volume, and intensity.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's 100% with you. I think that when we talk about stress, like you mentioned, sometimes there's stress that you have no control over. And we live in politically and culturally charged times, and perhaps that's stressing to you. You may have a stressful job. Maybe your commute to work is stressful in traffic. Certainly a sick family member, for example, is out of your control. But what is in your control is how you manage stress. So start looking for ways that you can manage your stress. I think stress and sleep are two sides of the same coin. Like Russell said, if you have crappy sleep, you're probably going to be more stressed. And if you're more stressed, you're probably going to have crappy sleep. So trying to shore those things up. And then I'll just throw this when it comes to recovering like a man. I think that sleep, stress, and the other thing is walk every day. That golden rule of walk 10,000 steps. I don't know about 10,000 steps, but get some intentional walking. We tell our dudes a minimum of 7,000 steps. There's a little bit of science behind that. There's not really a whole lot of science that says, hey, it's exponentially or X amount better to walk 10,000 steps than 7,000 steps. But certainly walking more is preferably to walking less. So making sure that you're moving throughout the day. This is great for longevity. It's great even for fat loss. But really, this gentle movement is restorative. Or flushing, what do you call it when your muscles are sore, you're flushing lactic acid out of your muscles. Yeah, like you're flushing the lactic acid out of your muscles. Your joints are the synovial fluids are getting moved around there, and that's a good thing for healthy joints. So yeah, walk every day. I think that's one that gets lost a lot. So there you go. If you're a scrawny grandpa, or if you know a scrawny grandpa, if you know a scrawny grandpa and he's your boy, send him this episode. But there's what we got for you. I think that when we look at somebody who's in that skinny fat syndrome, our culture looks at him like, oh, he's healthier than the fat dude. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe not. In fact, probably not if he's got really low muscle mass. Guys, we want to be strong. We don't want to be a scrawny grandpa. You don't want to be there for aesthetic reasons, but you certainly don't want to be there for health and performance reasons. And you don't want to be there for longevity reasons. Scrawny grandpas turn into very, what's it, a walker before you hit the wheelchair? Is that the way you want to go out?
Yeah.
Or you want to go out swinging in your 90s, healthy, taking a camping trip up a mountain after having great sex with your wife, right? Is that how you want to go out? So that's kind of the choice here. Don't be a scrawny grandpa. That's what we got this week. Let's see. I guess, Russ, you got anything else, or should we wrap this sucker up?
Hey, just real quick, just do these things. I know it seems overwhelming, even the 3 simple things we gave you. Take one of these things and build on it, right? So, maybe a couple weeks, build on
sleep.
Start
small and build on it.
Yep, build on protein, build on walking. Just take it small. So don't ever think what we give you is just, you have to smash it in one try. Just build off of it.
Right on.
Yep.
Well said, brother.
All right.
Yeah, perfect. All right, folks, until next week, stay strong. Okay, men, that's our show for this week. Don't forget to download our free guide titled How to Raise Your Testosterone Naturally. You can find the download link in the show notes for this episode on whatever app you're listening to this podcast on. If you've enjoyed today's show, here are 3 ways you can support us. Number 1, share this episode with a friend. Number 2, make sure to like and follow this show, and please consider leaving us a 5-star review. Number 3, give us a follow over at Instagram. We're at Alpha Edge Army. So that's Alpha Edge Army all run together. I really appreciate you men taking the time to listen. And until next week, stay strong.